conversation go, and then. All right. Thanks for coming. I know that it is 4:30 and the end of a long day. So what we are going to look at is organizing your learning space, which many of you have already had a classroom for a little while now. But as we go into like true distance learning, we're not putting in just things as they come up. Some different things that you can consider for your organization, and not just in classroom, but Kate's going to show some things with Google Sites, some ideas that you could do. I know a fourth grade teacher is going to try it, and we've seen it at a couple of different middle school examples. One really, really good one through an English department before, and so we're going to get into that. We're also going to get into some different templates you could use for planning that could work for you, could not work for you. Use, remix, don't use anything you want to with that. So, Kate.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
We'll skip the first couple.
What? First couple what?
The funny GIFs and memes. Although I do like this one because I like Community.
I don't know what that is.
That's from Community.
Okay. I just know it reminds me of Jake because he was having Doritos on the couch for breakfast.
So if nobody's watched Community, here's a shameless plug that I don't even have anything to. If you go on Hulu, if you have that, Community's on there. It's a very funny show. You can pass the time.
Okay. Skip?
Yep.
This is my favorite one.
And this is our life right now, as Dan's face just came back on. So, we like to start with this simple idea that everything that we normally do in terms of preparing, being flexible, adapting is still applicable to here. And I like this picture because it's from our basketball season, and I think it's good to remember who we're working with, and if nothing else, Big Stop at the top might make you happy with how excited he is, and Sue Barnhart's son Barney down there is pretty excited. I'm not sure what part of the game this happened, but I think it's important to remember, who we're working for, what we're doing, and these things that we already do we're going to be doing here, but just in a different way. The first slide and first resource that we have for you is something that you can also give to your kids as you send stuff out and are preparing things. And it's the idea of thinking holistically throughout the whole week version of it, and what students are going to have to complete versus what they're going to have to turn in, because those are two different things, and that can be like a who's who, where's what. So you could have them complete different tasks, and that is something that they have on the left side of this organizer. And here's what they're going to do for each day. If you're doing something more project-based, then these are things that they could be doing during that time frame. But then on Thursday, they have to turn in X, Y, and Z. So those are some things that are for more planning purposes, week-long wise. The next slide, then, Kate, is Oreo online learning. So yeah, so this is something you could also send out to parents. It'll force you to make a copy, and this is daily based. Kate's computer is horrendously slow. It's the end of the day for it as well.
It is tired. I'm going to restart it after this presentation.
Last night I just shut mine down. I haven't shut mine down in
I didn't do it yesterday. That's why it's doing it today to me.
3 years, I don't think. A restart does not count as a shutdown. So this is more of your individual day-to-day stuff. So while I know everybody has their lesson planning templates and everything like that, the goal of this isn't necessarily for you to take it and fill this out and spend a long time with that, but things to be thinking about. What is your organization going to look like? What is the responsibility, and how long is that going to? Do you think that's going to take? Because that's going to be important. It's going to take twice as long on average for them to do things than they would in the classroom, and that's tough. And especially at the beginning here, we're going to have to kind of feel out for your classes what your content is, or whatever your projects that you're creating are going to be, what that is, and then how that's all going to be shared out. And then the last slide before we get into anything classroom or sites based is, options for how you can keep your kids organized. Whether that's, the graphic on the left is also clickable, and you don't need to click it, Kate. It'll take too long. And that's, where you could have the whole week planned out. And I just put in arbitrary dates and things that color coded it so they would know that this is something that they have to do, must do, can do, all of those different things. So with that being said, we're going to look at classroom then. And Kate will
Can
walk
you
through some of that.
can you reshare the link in case we had anybody join
Yes.
after?
Yes.
Okay, so if you came to the beginning of the year, like intro, this is gonna look similar because it's almost the exact same presentation from here on out. But there's a few things that I'll just skip over because you at this point you already know. But if you need a reminder, it's here. So to create a classroom, there's a screencast here that goes over the creation, the lookout, and then a lot of people are still using Stream. No need to use Stream. You'll want to use Classwork. Um, how to organize the work. This is something that I think, a lot of us push out assignments, but one of the most unutilized, I guess, feature of Google Classrooms is to use the material tab. So once you've created a topic, which is how you're going to organize your work, and everything will be anchored to that topic so that your assignments aren't floating all over the page. But once you've done that, you're going to want to utilize the material feature because that is where you can post multiple different directions
Sorry.
and
Sorry.
good and assignments. I mean, not assignments, but oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. So like you can post a YouTube video, a podcast, a website, a link, a PDF, whatever you need. You could do 6 different attachments for the same thing. So then material is really a way of thinking like, okay, what do I want my students to consume? They're not necessarily creating or returning anything back to you. So the material tab is a really awesome way to organize your work for the day or unit or lesson. And then assignment, quiz, and question is when you're getting your student responses. So that's really for think like student output. So student input would be your material, student output would be your assignment, your quiz, and your question. And then the only other thing I didn't really talk about is the reuse post feature. So if you're creating your classroom, like let's pretend that you've never used Classroom before and you're using it now for the rest of the year. Anything that you create this year, you'll be able to use again next year because you just hit reuse post and you can choose the posts, including the documents, the directions, everything. And then that way you're not recreating the wheel or you're not recreating, whatever it is, a unit, a tab, a topic, whatever it is, you can just reuse your post. So that makes it easy. So keep that in mind as you're building for the rest of the year is that, you can just reuse this. And then when you reuse the post, you do have the option of editing it. It's not going to be like, oh, a canned thing. So at least you have a skeleton to work for going forward. Organizational ideas. So basically you'll want to, if you haven't thought about it, maybe you want to organize in weeks. So like week of April 6th is really the first week that we're doing the digital learning. So you could create your topic of week of April 6th, and then you could do your, push out all of your things for April 6th. So let me get into my classroom if it lets me. So I have 100 classrooms, so there's going to be a lot up here, but I have a, there it is, an example. So you can organize it based on like the week, each week, so that it's not going to get, overcrowded. And then, you can have week 2, whatever date that would be. But one of the nice things with the topics while I'm here is that you can post your Hangout links in a topic, or you can do it as if you're doing resources, and then have your class Google site at the top and your office hours. Andrew, are you in charge of comments? I think I saw one flash.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Okay, so many of you have multiple different sections. So you have the ability, so if I have period 1 and period 2, 3, 4, whatever, you have the ability to post things at the same time in all of your sections. As long as you're not scheduling them and they're going live right away, you have the ability to go ahead and post within all of your periods at the same exact time. So when you're making the assignment or the material, whatever it is, it'll say for what classes, and then you just highlight that tab, and then you pick all of the classes that you want to push that assignment out to. Okay, so if you need to schedule an assignment, now this, I don't know that you're going to love this feature as middle school teachers, because if you schedule an assignment, it'll only work in one class period at the same time. So when you hit assign, instead of hitting or posting, you're going to schedule, and then it's going to give you the option to choose the date and the time that you want it to go live. But you can't do that in multiple classrooms at the same time. So you'd have to go.
Make sure you do AM. I did PM and it didn't go. Like,
yeah.
And also you can't schedule material. That's what I found out. It won't let you. Is that true? Like
Yeah, I thought you could, but once you post it, you
can. It's right here. You can schedule anything. Anything that you're posting, you can schedule.
I wonder why it wouldn't let me the other day. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong.
Can you see my schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had my slideshow that we were doing. I was going to schedule that, and I have it in material.
Were you choosing multiple different periods?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can schedule multiple different periods. So you can only schedule if it's for that period and you're in that class. If you've highlighted multiple classes, you can't schedule.
That's why. Okay.
See, do you like my cute GIF? That's why. It's a pain in the butt. All right. So if you want to do a discussion post, just real quick, I'm sure you've used it before. If you're posting something light and fun or whatever it is, the students can respond back to each other, or you can choose it so that it's private. But even if you have it open so that they can respond to you and they can see everybody else's response, they can respond over in the right just to you. So even if you have it available so that everybody can see their responses, they still have the option, if they feel like they want their response back to you to be private, they have an option. They'll see it, and you won't see it on your side come in, but they'll see it on their side that says respond only to teacher. So just know that that is available if you have students that don't feel comfortable responding back to everyone.
And Dan, this is what I meant in one of the emails back and forth today.
Oh, for the comment.
If you can put it in a doc or whatever, but like if you just wanted to put it in here and allow comments that way, it's an easy way that you don't have to recreate the wheel for.
So going forward, when we're back to real life, not necessarily now, if you have a student on a Chromebook, they can take a quiz in lockdown mode, meaning that if you give a quiz and they click on that quiz, once they've clicked on that icon, it'll take over their entire screen and they won't be able to access Google for the answers or pull up another tab. So it's called lockdown mode. And then it'll go out of lockdown mode if they hit escape, but then they won't see the quiz, or when they hit submit when they're done with their quiz. So obviously, I don't know how much you're going to use that now, and they have to be on a Chromebook to be doing it, but it's available for when we go back to real life. Okay, so how to use your assignment calendar. I don't know how many people know that we have our Google Calendar attached to our emails, but then we also have our classroom calendar that's only attached to each of your Google Classrooms. So you can post due dates and discussion questions and all of these things, but then you can also share it with parents. At your level, I don't know that you want to share it with parents. I know at the elementary level they need to. So if you're interested in that at all, here is a link to share out the calendar and make it private. And again, it's not your calendar, it's the Google Classroom calendar. Oh, poop. We only have 8 minutes. Okay. We won't need to do this. This is Gradebook, but if you're not familiar with Gradebook in Google Classroom, it's a pretty new feature. And then instead of going into every kid's folder to look at their assignment, you just go to the Gradebook and click on their name within their assignment. So that's a video you can watch at another time. So if your students, for some reason, like their Chromebook breaks and they can't bring it back to school, and then they're not going to be using a district device, they're usually at this point in middle school, they're pretty used to the fact they have to go through the student portal. But if they forget because it's been a couple years, or the parents don't know, then there is right here, there's a directions for parents. It's a Google Doc that's opened up to the public that they can use and reference if they need to get into Google Classroom using a device that the district does not own. Like, heaven forbid, their their Chromebook goes down. Okay, so one of the things that you have an option, everyone has Google Sites attached to their Gmail or their account. So I'm just going to go here. So you have the ability to make a Google Sites, and one of the things that you can do. This is a fake one that I made. If it loads, you can house all your information on here. So you can house all of your assignments. You can house all of your announcements, anything that you need for students and parents when it loads. It's an edit view. Okay. So one of the things you could do is that this could be like a one-stop shop for your parents and for your students. And you can embed, so I don't know if you can see this, you can embed your class calendar. So if I want to go into April, it'll say like, these are the assignments that we've posted in our fake Google Classroom. So you can see what's available, or I mean, what's coming up. You can also look at it in an agenda view instead. So you could do it week by month or by agenda. And there are easy steps to do this if you were interested. I have it on the next slide. But like, if you want to post, each page can be a new week. So week 1 would be April 6th. And then this was created for the elementary example. So like this is an agenda for elementary. But you could post different assignments in here. It could be an agenda that's on a list. This is a PDF from my drive that I embedded. So if you create an agenda on a Google Doc, like a to-do list or a slide, you can easily embed that, or you don't have to. You can just type right on the screen and create an agenda for your students. So this is another option. And then you could also have students submit things back to Google Classroom by just just embedding your link. So if you do that, if you're interested in creating a Google Sites for your like one-stop shop and housing all your information, just be aware that you're going to want to change the permission, because right now if you want students to see that, that's great. You don't have to change it, but I highly recommend showing it to parents because they're also in the dark. They're not quite sure how this is all going. So you're going to want to make sure you have the Earth symbol so that anybody can view and find your site. If you're interested in embedding the calendar, here are onto your Google site. Here are the written out steps, or here's the video. And then also within the video, this is like a double-edged sword here in a positive way. You can watch him embed the calendar, but then you can also check out the site and like how he has it set up. So there's like links and there's different subjects and just different options and tabs that you can create onto a classroom website.
And just a couple of things to consider, especially with the middle school level, but what is going to be synchronous and asynchronous. Most of our work will be asynchronous. Consider chunking things up. If a couple of people have gotten into YouTube playlists, that is a really great way to push out content. You could do a screencastify of a short video of yourself teaching X, Y, and Z, and in there it can upload right into YouTube. And that saves right to your Google Drive. So, you could do different things like that, because I think that is an easier way to connecting with them. I mean, I don't normally watch things that is more than 5 minutes, so I don't think our kids will either. And like we said, always consider that most assignments are going to take twice as long, especially at the beginning. At the beginning.
Cut it in half and then cut it in half again.
Yeah. So here is a link to a face-to-face to online tools chart that you can go to, and it keeps getting populated as we go on, but I like that it's broken down into, here are things for direct instruction, here are things for assessments, here are things for read and respond that are more than read this, do that kind of thing. And then the last slide, as we're getting close to 5, is a quick Edutopia article. It's a 2-minute read that you can read if you'd like to. And in there, 4 things to think about as we shift to online learning. And those, simplicity is key, especially at the beginning. I know a lot of you are in the middle of creation of all those things, but keep it simple, keep it engaging, like a lot of you are.
Sorry, I need to get that off.
No, you're fine. And then that's all I got.
I forgot that I actually had teachers in there, like as a double whatever, and I got a text that was like, "Why are you posting stuff?"
Oh.
Like, no, it's fine. Okay.
Any questions that you have? We threw a lot of stuff there. If you're interested in sites and you're like, I just could use like 20 minutes, whatever amount of time, we can absolutely work with anybody on that. Kate really likes it. We've seen some really good examples, especially at the middle school level, where that can be used, and especially now where it can be, pages, sections by the week or whatever your team stuff is. You could pump out a lot of information in one concrete place, doing it that way.
I have a question. Like we see, in our health world, 8 different teams in one classroom. And it really, I think my biggest frustration is some kids, they're not all in the same place using this Google Classroom. So you got 8 different teachers, not everybody's using it. So what would you suggest, like at the beginning? I just go, like I make sure all my students know, obviously, how I'm using it. Like they still go to their stream, like they're not, you would think they'd be efficient because they've been using it since 4th grade, I think, right? In the elementary schools. I just found they all have a different plethora of they are all not at all on the same page.
No, we just did 5 sessions on Google Classroom for the elementary week.
Okay. I assumed because I never used it, everybody was using it.
No.
Okay.
They are now, but that doesn't help you right now.
My kids still wanted to go to the stream, and then they're streaming through, and I have my Google Classroom set up very much like yours with the topic, nutrition, drugs and alcohol. But here's where you go, our FID folder.
This is like the first year for everyone to have the classwork page, right? So it's natural for people to want to post to the stream because that's what they've always done. And they were using the topics to pin the things together. There was no need to go to the classwork page.
Oh, see, I never knew that because last year's my first go at it. So I probably learned everything I need to know right away. The good stuff.
No, but hopefully over the course, we just basically, this is our 6th or 7th session on Google Classroom. So hopefully, people are consistently using classwork. And I think that that's something that we should talk about in team meetings so that students do know where to go.
Yeah, because I noticed all year they were like, I had to show the back up and really demonstrate and model. Here's how you use it. Here's where you go. Here's the due dates. I am curious to learn more about the Google Sites. I'm a little bit confused.
It's so easy. It's so easy. Like the only thing, so I don't like using it because I can't change the font color or the size or the background. Like I can't make it pretty. Like it's a package deal. So I'm
on there now on my other computer.
That's what makes it easy. Like you just pick a theme and then you just click. Okay, do I want text? Do I want to upload something from my drive? Yeah. So let me show you mine.
But I can always meet with you maybe another time on that, or Bev and I can see. I don't know if Bev uses it.
Which window do I want?
It says create, right?
Yeah. So if I go to just my sites.
If anyone else has a question before that, I can always stay on a few minutes after. Unless you got to go. Oh, I saw that.